Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW Dark review for the 27th of October, um, 2020. Man, there's good stuff on the show. There's too much stuff on the show. This is the longest Dark there at 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't agree with doing this week after week. It speaks to A, they have a bloated roster. B, the people in AEW running AEW want to give too many opportunities to too many people, and they don't know how to tier their organization. And C, more doesn't always mean better. And so there's issues there. There were good matches on the show. There were things on the show that should have been left for Dynamite or pay per view. There were things that shouldn't have been on the show. Overall, I still enjoyed Dark. I still enjoy AEW. I still prefer AEW over WWE. I would say I prefer them more than Impact most weeks. So, I mean, as far as North American promotions, AEW is still my go-to promotion if I'm watching for my own enjoyment. But they have a lot of problems. Anyway, Excalibur, Taz, and a new fellow by the name of Anthony Agolo. I guess he's a developmental guy. Miro, Brandy Rhodes, and Ricky Starks all are on commentary at various points. I will be honest, I now mute the commentary on Dark because Excalibur is there and Taz isn't enough to get me through the broadcast. I do come back for the interviews, but unless it's AEW Dynamite or a pay-per-view where there's Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross to act as buffer zones because they're full-time professionals, I can't deal with Excalibur anymore. I just can't. Anyway, Dark Order, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson defeats Top Fight, Airwolf, and Angel Donardo. This is a debut for the Top Fight group. I mean, there's a lot of just sloppy moves here. I am a fan of Airwolf. I've seen him in not AEW. I've seen him in MLW last year. Really enjoy his stuff, and I hope that they do something with him here. Both guys in the Top Flight thing are good athletes, and I guess they also compete for Game Changer Wrestling. I haven't seen a full show of Game Changer. I've seen clips over the years, and it's just not my thing. But Airwolf definitely is somebody that has some talent. Dorado hits a drop kick early, and Top Fight hits many big moves. Grayson hits a cutoff that's kind of sleepy and sloppy. Airwolf hits a backflip kick and gets a hot tag to his partner. Dorado and Grayson mess up a neck breaker, and Dorado does recovery into a spinning heel kick. Airwolf tags in, and then his brother hits a Dragon Runner and a splash for a near fall. Uno hits a cutoff, and then there's an assisted dive that dispatches Dorado. Dark Order hits the fatality on Airwolf to end it. I wish Airwolf hadn't dropped the fall. I still don't see these members of Dark Order as being worth anything. Please, somebody in the comments, sell me on them being worth something. Sell me on, I like the Dark Order concept, and there's some talent in there. I just don't see Uno or Grayson as it. I see them as video game caricatures who do moves, and that's what's there. Ricky Starks and VSK. Starks is dominant for, let's say, 80% of the match. He misses an elbow drop. VSK hits some strikes and a backbreaker. Starks tries to hit a roll and does hit a spear and a Rochambeau for the pin. I love Ricky Starks. I don't know why you need to have him in throwaway squash matches. Eddie Kingston and the Bunny, formerly known as Allie, are backstage. She talks about why she turned on the Nightmare Family. She makes fun of QT Marshall for basically being a dork who got his first girlfriend in storyline. And now she's back with her real family. Look, I don't like the Butcher and the Blade. I wouldn't have them on my roster. However, this storyline and the fact that it's played out over several months to have her go back with intel against the Nightmare Family makes a heck of a lot of sense and is really well done. Matt Sydal defeats Lee Johnson. Lee Johnson is a guy who's lost about 15 matches now, most of them on Dark, not all of them. And I don't understand why he's not being pushed or done something more done with. Matt Sydal, as a former WWE guy, to me should not be primarily on Dark, which is what he has been thus far. Not a fan of this. Fan of Sydal, fan of Johnson. Match is fine, but they're being misused. Johnson is a guy who they could really do something. They do a lot of technical wrestling early. Johnson takes control after some arm drags. Sydal hits a sidewalk slam, and he unfortunately gets dropped on his head in the process. Sydal hits a lariat, gets a near fall. Sydal hits a crucifix pin for near fall there. Submissions. Johnson goes to the outside. There's a series of dives. Why are we doing dives when there's no one in the crowd? I continue to say this. I've said this for months. I will not stop saying it because it's stupid every time. Sydal crawls under the ring. Johnson hits a springboard dropkick back in the ring. Sydal hits a Michinoku driver for another near fall. This is too competitive for a former WWE guy, especially with a guy who hasn't won matches. Not a fan of this at all. Johnson hits an enziguri. Sydal hits a slam and applies a Cobra Clutch for submission victory. Not necessarily a fan of a high flyer winning with submissions either. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. AEW Women's Championship, Hikaru Shida against Layla Horsich, and I know I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but Layla is in her AEW debut, makes most of her name in the Stardom's women's promotion. She's super technical, kind of reminds me of a Shayna Baszler type, both in body style and in technical prowess. This is easily one of the top 3 women's matches in AEW history. I would even put this up against some of the WWE women's matches. If you're a fan of women's matches, worth going out of your way to see this. Layla, known as a submission specialist, they do some awesome bat stuff, which is just phenomenal. If they haven't signed Layla already, they need to. They do a shoulder block battle, and Shida goes into a running knee on the outside. Shida nails another backbreaker for a near fall, coming in with some strikes and a suplex in the corner. Trades some forearms in the center of the ring. Shida misses a strike and was sent to the outside. Layla hits a dive and catches a backdrop driver in the ring for near fall, misses a moonsault. Shida hits a sliding elbow strike for near fall in its own right. Layla gets her way into a cross arm breaker. Shida turns it into a stretch muffler, and then they reach the ropes. Sequence of strikes by both, and then she gets cut. Layla gets cut off with a running knee. Shida hits a second knee strike, followed by a Falcon Arrow for a victory. This was great. This was, like I say, easily one of the top 3 women's matches. I would even entertain the concept of it being the best women's match in AEW history. Should have been on Dynamite and not here. QT Marshall cuts a promo on the Bunny. She says he took everything from him and basically proves himself to be simple-minded. He even says she took some of his dignity. Um, Dustin Rhodes appears and mentions that he and Marshall are number 3 contenders. Apparently, this means we're going to have a match between these two teams. Not a fan. Why waste Dustin Rhodes in a throwaway feud? Anyhow, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt defeats Danny Limelight and Jersey Muscle. This is a completely useless match. I like Jurassic Express minus Marco Stunt. Marco Stunt should be selling my popcorn, pumping my gas, or making sure that I'm tall enough to ride the rides at Disney World. There is no reason for him to be on a national wrestling podcast. If he wants to wrestle with his friends in an independent or even preferably a backyard, great idea. Limelight and Jersey Muscle both debut here. They've all wrestled in the American version of New Japan. Jungle Boy manages to get some spots in early. Stunt hits a diving head scissors. And then we see a double team with Jungle Boy and Stunt. Stunt goes nuts on all 3 of his opponents, getting cut off by diving to the outside. So now there's dives in every match. Why are dives even special anymore? Stunt hits a German suplex. And hot tags Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus manages to take out his opponents. Hits the tail whip. And hits a reverse Death Valley driver on Limelight. One of the Jersey guys hits a missile dropkick to cut off Luchasaurus. And then dive. Final dive is hit by Limelight, who hits a crossbody on Jungle Boy on the outside, along with hitting Luchasaurus at the same time. Jersey Muscle hits Power Slam neckbreaker combination on Stunt for near fall. Stunt should not have been able to kick out of this at all. Stunt escapes and tags in Jungle Boy, who manages to kick his opponents, literally, for a while. Jurassic Express performs a tornado DDT and throwing Stunt like a battering ram into a Canadian Destroyer on Limelight for the pin. This was horrible. Spot. Breathe. Spot. Breathe. Spot. Pose. Horrible. Anyway. So, SCU, Chris Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian against the Hybrid 2, Jack Evans and Angelico. Again, Evans and Angelico, not guys I get. It wouldn't be on my roster. Number 1, they look really small. Number 2, they haven't really done anything. I don't mind Angelico for having a different style. He's fun. And if you wanted to use him as a opening card to maybe mid-card guy as a single, I wouldn't be against it. But as a tag team, I don't get the team. There's no reason for the team, and Jack Evans is, to me, reticent of a time when the SAT and Red were a big deal. It's the same mentality, and I don't see where he has national-level promotion ability. Kazarian and Angelico do a lot of chain wrestling early. Angelico can't find an advantage. Daniels tags in. Evans distracts the official. Angelico gets the heat. Angelico maintains an advantage for a little bit. Daniels fights back, hits an STO. Hot tag to Kazarian. Kazarian fights off both his opponents. Hits a Cyclone Suplex for a near fall. Daniels hits the Angel's Wings. But Evans counters. Daniels attempts to get himself back in good alignment. Kazarian hits a slingshot DDT for near fall. SCU attempts the best moonsault ever. Angelico cuts off Kazarian. Daniels pulls Angelico out of the ring. Kazarian gets a pinning combination for the win. Not a bad match per se, but Daniels and Kazarian are cut above the rest. Post-match promo or post-match attack hybrid two attacks their opponents and stand tall, so I guess we have to see this again. Anna Jay defeats Catalina Perez. Not a fan of this. Anna Jay has some talent. Perez is just kind of there, especially after the women's match earlier. This shows the disparity in the women in general. Jade is joined by Dark Order for her entrance. She hits a kick right away. Quick near fall by her opponent. Jay dominates clotheslines by Perez. Perez misses an elbow drop, and Jay applies the sleeper, and Perez submits. Then we go to the battle of the non-winners. Brandon Cutler finally gets a win over Peter Avalon in a no DQ match. I know that there are people that think this is great. I think this is killing the business. Let me explain why. You have two guys who've been in the company almost from the beginning, if not from the beginning. They have a combined record of about 0-40. They go out there and have an epic match with weapons and Legos, yes, Legos, and other things. And it's A, on Dark. B, it's a sign of, well, how come other guys can't do it if these two losers can do it? C, it doesn't advance storylines. They could have had a perfectly fine match with one of them winning, but to give them this much, like it's an epic battle from a Big Four WWE pay-per-view, is both goofy, and to me it reeks of, well, anyone can do this, and it's all about excitement and spots. No, it's about storytelling too, and it's also about hierarchy on a card, and the fact that they have people that don't understand this, just not. It makes no sense. Someone must win the match. Leva Bates is here, and Cutler dove into the ring. He attacks Avalon ahead of the bell. Avalon goes to the eyes. Cutler fights back with some clotheslines. Avalon spears him through the ropes, and it's kind of awkward as they go onto the ramp. Avalon tosses him towards the announcer's table, hits a diving lariat. Cutler moves. Avalon is able to move before getting put through the table. Then we see a garbage can shot, dropping an elbow on the floor. Cutler props up a table against the ring. He gets backdropped through the table he just set up. There's a crate that contains books from Leva Bates, and that's Avalon's weapon. He attempts a meteor into the pile of books. Cutler evades it, hits an inverted DDT for near fall. Cutler grabs the die on the outside and manages to have a bag of smaller dice. They fight to suplex each other on the dice. Springboard into a Uranagi onto a pile of books for a near fall. Yes, I cannot believe I'm actually talking about books and near fall in the same sentence. Avalon gets into an argument with Bates calling her worthless, which is going to tick off feminist groups, I'm sure. Bates slaps him. Cutler takes advantage with a sunset flip. Avalon dominated him. Avalon pulls out brass knucks. Cutler nails him with a powerbomb into a pile of dice. Ouch. They fight on the apron. Cutler drops this, and then there's a table outside the ring. Back suplex through the table. Avalon also hit Cutler with the brass knucks while he's being put through the table. And Young Bucks jump around and jump out of the crowd to motivate their buddy Cutler. And they They fight on the top rope. Avalon hits a top rope Frankensteiner onto the dice. Cutler rolls through and gets a cradle for the victory. Why are the Bucks associated with this? Like, I get that that's their friend, but they've got like the biggest match of their AEW career coming up in a couple of weeks at the pay-per-view. Shouldn't they be training or studying film or eating chicken breasts or something important? Uh, um, so then we go to the best friends with Orange Cassidy against Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. Caster was cool on the Primetime Live thing a few weeks ago. He does a rap before this match. And then he and Bowens control a good bit of the match. And I don't quite get that because, well, the best friends have been pushed pretty hard. Caster and Bowens beat down Taylor for a long time. Trent gets the hot tag. Trent hits some strikes and power moves. But the unknowns get a cutoff. Trent eventually has enough, flatlines Bowens with backdrop driver. And Trent distracts Bowens and they hit the strong zero for the win. This is a case of let's give the people who are here on dark matches an opportunity and make our contract and talent look weaker. Yay! Alex Marvez looking to talk to Scorpio Sky. I guess there's this deal where they're continuing the Shawn Spears and Sky thing. Spears has written Thief on a mirror. FTW champion Brian Cage defeats Fuego del Sol in a non-title match. This is completely useless. Cage dominates early, taunts his former opponent, and Del Sol reverses a Hurricanrana for a near fall. Cage hits a power bomb, a buckle bomb, and a Weapon X in a squash match. This is completely skippable, especially in a show that runs over 2 hours. Speaking of skippable, Dark Order 10 defeats Sean Maluda. So this is Preston Vance, again a guy that I don't see the money in. It's their 10 completely squashes his opponent. Powerbomb. We've seen that in 3 straight matches now. Forces him to the outside. 10 join with the referee. 5 beats down Maluda ringside. 10 with a spine buster and a reverse ripcord lariat. 5 and 10 work together, make 15, and they power slam and double stomp their fallen opponent. Speaking of matches that can be cut from the show, do we notice a trend here? Ivelisse and Diamante defeating Kylan King and Savannah Evans. Ivelisse and Diamante have been teaming for a while since the summer with the Women's Cup. King tags into the match late. Evans hits a Uranage, another popular move here in AEW. King goes nuts. Ivelisse breaks up the pinfall attempt. Dynamite hits a code red for quick victory. Why does this match need to happen? Like, I don't get where this is necessary. Sonny Kiss defeats Aaron Solo. Now here's a guy who needs to be on one of the 2 programs every week in Sonny Kiss. There's money in. Anyhow, Solo takes advantage early. Catches Kiss's springboard attempt. He makes fun of Kiss for several minutes. Kiss comes back with a cradle, gets nailed with an overhead throw for near fall. Kiss hits some strikes and hits the split leg drop for the 3 count. Post-match, Lance Archer runs out, destroys both men. Jake Roberts calls the action a la Jerry Lawler on Superstars in 1995 in his own match. Archer takes the microphone, addresses Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Doesn't care who wins, he wants another shot at the championship. And at this point, I don't think people would care if Archer won the championship because he's already been beaten. Will Hobbs defeats Nick Camarado, a match that could have been saved to next week. Camarado is about the same size as Hobbs. They trade power moves. Hobbs hits a spine buster and a frog splash for the win in maybe 2.25 minutes, something like that. Again, this could have waited till next week. I love Hobbs, but there's no need for him to be on this long a show. Darby Allin and Alex Chamberlain. Alex Chamberlain's a guy I worked with in the Indies. I think I called one of his first matches. I know I called matches in his first year. We're going back to the mid 2000s. Allin immediately applies an armbar. Chamberlain gets to the ropes. Chamberlain basically fakes a knee injury. Allin gets hit with a big backbreaker, beat down with a bunch of power moves, and Allin does the bumping thing that he always does. Allin kicks Chamberlain knees and guillotines him through the ropes. Hits a assisted coffin drop, followed by a stunner and a second coffin drop. Gets the win. We close on that note. Ricky Starks battles Allin in the ring. Cage attacks him from behind. Hobbs runs out. Steel chair. Maybe there's a tag match coming up on a Dynamite or maybe the pay-per-view. Overall, there is good stuff in this, but the fact that I have to cover this and it took me 26 minutes to get through a internet TV show, yeah, not exactly great. Anyhow, until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.